3 hair colors that make older women look radiant after 50, and 3 to avoid. Have you ever looked in the mirror and quietly asked yourself, why do I look tired when I've been sleeping well, taking care of my skin, and haven't changed a single thing in my lifestyle? Maybe you've blamed it on age, on hormones, on the quiet, creeping stress of daily life. But sometimes, the reason might be something you see every day, yet never really notice: your hair color. We don't change our hair color often. It becomes a habit, a kind of identity we grow loyal to. But here's the truth: loyalty can sometimes dim us without warning. What once felt like you might now be the very thing making you look faded, heavy, less alive than you truly are. After 50, our skin doesn't reflect light the way it did at 35. Silver strands start appearing. The skin around our eyes and mouth softens thinner, gentler. And the colors that once made you glow might now be creating harsh contrast or coldness, making everything feel a little heavier, a little more tired. But this isn't a warning. It's an invitation. Today, you and I, we're going to walk through 6 shades together. 3 hair colors that can gently brighten your entire face with the smallest change. And 3 shades often seen as beautiful that may quietly be making you disappear from your own reflection. So tell me, are you ready to look at your hair color the way you'd look at your reflection with fresh, loving eyes? 1. Caramel brown, a warm embrace for a face that's softened with time. Can you remember the last time your hair gently caught the sunlight and reflected it back onto your cheeks? Not the bright gleam of your 20s, not the bold golden stripes from your rebellious years, but that quiet, warm kind of light, soft, subtle, and comforting. The kind that seems to whisper, "You're still beautiful," just in a different way. Caramel brown is that whisper. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention, but it lifts everything around it quietly, gracefully. It doesn't try to shine your skin. It partners with it. Women over 50 aren't looking for drama. They're looking for the truth, something soft, something that fits. As our face changes with age, losing sharpness, gaining gentleness, our hair color needs to adapt too. Colors that are too dark, too icy, or too bright start to clash with our natural softness. They highlight every line, every shadow. They separate the face from the hair instead of bringing it together. Caramel brown does the opposite. It blends, it warms, it softens. With a neutral brown base and golden caramel undertones, it reflects light back onto your face, not harshly, but with intention. It doesn't make your skin look pale like platinum can. It doesn't create a stark contrast like jet black. Instead, it adds a touch of glow to your cheekbones, makes your eyes feel more alive in the late afternoon light, and slowly, quietly, merges your skin and hair into one elegant, luminous harmony. Here's the magic. Your silver strands, the ones that once stressed you out, become part of the story. Caramel wraps around them easily. No need to hide, just blend. And when the sunlight hits, you'll notice soft shimmers, not from forced highlights, but from how this color interacts with the light, like your hair is quietly celebrating your skin. Even better, it's easy to maintain. The warm brown base grows out softly without sharp contrast. Even if you only touch up the roots every 8 weeks, the whole look remains cohesive. That's why stylists call caramel brown a warm embrace. Not just because of the color, but because of how it makes you feel. Welcome, held, lifted. Maybe you don't want to look 10 years younger. Maybe you're not looking for compliments that say, "You look so different." Maybe you just want a hair color that understands you. One that doesn't chase trends. One that doesn't try too hard. One that makes you feel more like you. Softer, closer, warmer. And if caramel brown is the gentle embrace that warms your features, then the next shade is like soft sunlight pouring through the morning window, kissing your skin after a peaceful sleep. Would you like to try a color like that? Because if the answer is yes, then come with me to explore Honey Blonde, the shade that makes your face feel like it just stepped into the light. 2. Honey Blonde, a gentle sunlight for a seasoned face. Some days, all you want is light. Not the blinding glow of your younger years. Not the spotlight. Not the camera flash from grand evenings or glittering parties. But a softer kind of light the kind that slips through the morning window and rests on your skin like a quiet blessing. Unhurried, unforced, but enough to make everything around you feel warmer. Honey Blonde carries that exact kind of light. It's not the kind of hair color meant to turn heads. It's the kind that makes you pause and say, yes, this feels like me. Women who choose Honey Blonde aren't trying to prove anything. They don't color their hair to be noticed. They choose it to feel seen, quietly, gracefully, with a softness no other color quite captures. So why does Honey Blonde have this power? Because it knows how to bring light to the face without overwhelming it. Its warm base, laced with golden honey undertones, gently softens the natural redness that often appears in the skin after 50 around the cheeks, beside the nose, under the eyes. And when light touches it, it doesn't bounce off cold like platinum or drag you down like deep brunette. It creates a glow just enough to brighten, never enough to clash. It's like sipping sunlight. The warmth starts in your hair, then softly flows to your skin, and finally lands in the gaze of the person standing across from you. You've probably heard people say some hair colors can make your face disappear. With platinum or jet black, sometimes that's true. But Honey Blonde is different. It doesn't compete for attention. It creates a stage. So your face, your eyes, your stories, your softness can shine. And, just like caramel brown, Honey Blonde pairs beautifully with gray, especially when you scatter in a few airy highlights, not to hide age, but to add depth. This is aging with intention, not denial. But the most magical part of Honey Blonde isn't in its pigment. It's in how you feel when you see yourself wearing it. Many women over 50 try going lighter, then pull back. It feels too much, they say, too forced, too obvious. But with Honey Blonde, something changes. They don't feel younger. They feel clearer. The kindness in their eyes becomes more defined. The curves in their cheeks soften with warmth. And, suddenly, a gentler version of themselves, the one they've hidden out of habit or fear, begins to reappear. And here's a gentle reminder. Don't judge Honey Blonde by a salon swatch or an online photo. This color isn't chosen with the eyes. It's chosen with feeling. Let it brush against your skin. See if your bedroom light makes your cheekbones glow. Stand by the window at dusk. Watch how your hair catches that final golden hour. Because when Honey Blonde is right for you, it's no longer just a hair color. It's the way you give yourself permission to be visible again. Without noise, without explanation, just presence. And if you're smiling right now because you see something familiar in these words, maybe it's time to try this color. But if your heart leans towards something more understated, if you're drawn to cool tones, stillness, and a kind of strength that doesn't rely on glow, then there's one more shade waiting for you. Are you ready to meet Ashy Mocha Brown, where quiet becomes the most captivating part of who you are? 3. Ashy Mocha Brown, when quiet becomes magnetic. Not everyone is meant for warmth. Not every woman needs a bright, radiant color to feel beautiful. Some are at their most striking when they stop trying to shine. Ashy Mocha Brown is a shade like that. It doesn't demand attention the moment you walk into a room, but it makes people pause and look again because it creates a kind of presence, a quiet, composed strength, like morning fog resting gently over a hillside, still, soft, and deeply self-assured. If your skin leans pink or tends to flush around the cheeks, cool-toned hair might just be what you've always needed without even realizing it. After 50, our skin doesn't just lose firmness. Its color shifts too. Redness appears more easily on the cheeks, around the nose, across the forehead, especially under harsh light. And warm hair, colors like copper or golden brown, they tend to highlight that redness even more, turning a gentle flush into something louder than you intended. Ashy Mocha Brown does the opposite. With a neutral base and a cool finish, it acts like a soft focus lens. It doesn't erase your features. It refines them. It calms the undertone of your skin. It softens the nose, the jawline, the shadows under your eyes. It smooths the transition between your face and your neck so nothing feels disconnected or harsh. You don't disappear. You simply become easier to look at, more harmonious, more quietly beautiful than you thought possible. Maybe you've tried lighter hair and felt like it was trying too hard. Or maybe you've stuck with black and slowly felt like it made you look sharper, colder, harder. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I don't know why, but I just don't feel beautiful anymore, it may not be your skin. It may not be the lines. It may simply be your hair color, no longer telling the truth of who you are. So, here's the question worth asking yourself. Is your hair color telling the story you're living today? Or is it a leftover sentence from a chapter you've already outgrown? Ashy Mocha Brown doesn't shout. It whispers, but that whisper carries weight. It's the kind of color that fits women with introspective souls, those navigating big life shifts, those who no longer need to prove anything, just to show up as they are, calm, elegant, and exactly right. Another gift of this shade, it blends beautifully with natural silver. Instead of covering it up, Ashy Mocha invites your grays into the picture, letting them melt into the cool brown base like moonlight slipping through a gray sky. Not dramatic, but artistic. Personal, timeless. If you're drawn to simplicity short bobs, shoulder-length cuts, Mocha tones add visual depth, making fine hair appear fuller. Without tricks, without styling fatigue, and without monthly salon visits. It's the kind of sophistication that doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. But even with a shade this balanced, remember, not every color that once lit you up should stay forever. Some colors helped you stand out when you needed to, made you look bold, youthful, sharp. But today, they might be making your face appear harsh, too angular, missing the softness you've earned. If you feel that shift, don't fear change. Because sometimes the boldest thing you can do is to let go of what used to work and choose something that honors who you are now. That version of you, the one that doesn't chase attention, but draws it in, without a word. And now, maybe it's time to face a quiet truth. Some hair colors won't make you look worse, but they've stopped helping you glow. And in the next chapter, we're going to name them, those once-loved shades that may now be quietly pulling your face downward. It's time to see them clearly. 1. Jet black. When bold becomes too harsh, maybe you once chose black because it felt easy, because it was safe, because it covered gray well, held its tone, and didn't ask for much upkeep. Or maybe because someone once told you black makes you look younger. But now, I wonder, have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like you were slowly disappearing into your own hair? Jet black isn't wrong. It used to be a symbol of strength, sharpness, authority. But after 50, when the face begins to soften with time, when the light no longer bounces off your skin the way it did in your 20s, that same deep black starts to highlight all the things you might wish would stay quietly in the background. Why? Because jet black, the purest, deepest black, creates one of the highest contrasts you can place next to mature skin. Once, that contrast added drama. Now, it can feel like a spotlight on every fine line, every shadow under the cheekbone, every delicate hollow beneath your eyes. Black doesn't hide, it outlines. And when your features lose some of their firmness, that outline becomes a magnifying glass. Worse yet, jet black is brutally honest with your gray. You could color your hair just last week, and yet the tiniest regrowth at your roots glows under the light like a flashing sign. That's the cost of a shade that offers no softness, no forgiveness, no room to relax. Maybe you've kept black because it's familiar, because you're not sure how you'd look with something lighter, because the idea of change feels loud. But ask yourself this, is your current color still helping you glow? Or is it quietly dimming the softness that now defines your face? Jet black isn't bad, but it requires a canvas, even-toned skin, sharp cheekbones, a gaze that still cuts like glass. Jet black is not the color of transition. It's the color of resistance. And you don't need to resist anymore, do you? Here's the good news. You don't have to abandon depth to reclaim softness. If you love richness, mystery, and edge, there are gentler alternatives. Deep chocolate, soft espresso, cool-toned browns with a hint of shadow. They still carry weight, but they don't weigh your face down. They let your skin breathe. They let the light in. They blend with your grays instead of battling them. They allow you to see yourself in the mirror, not a version of you that feels distant or heavy. Because you don't need a hair color to hold on to youth. You need one that allows you to show up fully as the thoughtful, glowing, beautifully lived-in version of you today. And if lately you've started to feel a little tired when looking in the mirror, don't rush to buy a new eye cream. Maybe all you need to change is the color of your hair. In the next part of our journey, we're going to explore a shade that lives on the opposite end of the spectrum, a color that seems gentle, elegant, even high fashion, but can quietly wash out your face, steal your natural warmth, and make you disappear. And sadly, it's a color many women choose because they believe it matches their gray. Let's take an honest look at the brightness of platinum blonde and the truth it rarely reveals. 2. Platinum blonde. When brightness turns too cold, many women choose platinum blonde for what seems like a perfectly reasonable reason. I'm going gray anyway, might as well lighten everything and let it blend. On paper, it makes sense. But then, you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and feel something's off. Some women say, I look tired. Others admit, I look washed out. And the truth is, that feeling isn't just in your head. Platinum blonde, with its icy, silvery tone, is one of the most demanding colors out there. It doesn't reflect warmth. It absorbs it. And in return, it leaves your skin looking like the sunlight has disappeared. Especially after 50, when the skin begins to lose its natural glow, when uneven tones become more noticeable, when pigmentation gently fades, that cold platinum tone doesn't lift you up. It mutes you, it dulls you. Sometimes, it even makes you look a little ill. What's surprising is that many women choose platinum thinking, if it matches my gray, it'll be lower maintenance. But the reality couldn't be further from the truth. Platinum blonde isn't simple. It demands bleaching, which, for hair that's already thinner, drier, and more delicate with age, is a harsh process. It can leave strands brittle, fragile, and stripped of their natural elasticity. To maintain the color, you'll need toners, masks, and treatments, often, routinely, like a high-maintenance relationship you didn't sign up for. And, even more frustrating, the moment your silver roots begin to grow, just a few millimeters, they create a stark, visible line against that cool, white base. It doesn't blend as you hoped. It separates. It highlights the very gray you were trying to quietly accept. Maybe you've seen platinum on a fashion-forward model, bold, iconic, magazine-worthy. But remember, editorial lighting is not daylight. Their skin is airbrushed. Their face is contoured. Their look is curated. In real life, you are you, with your lived-in laugh lines, your gently weathered cheeks, and the softness in your gaze that only years of real life can create. And for that version of you, platinum may no longer uplift. It might actually weigh you down. But if you still long for lightness, the kind that feels airy, fresh, radiant, here's the good news. There are lighter shades that don't turn cold. Try honey blonde, that soft golden warmth of late afternoon sun. Or beige gold, a silky blend of sand and light. Or sandy blonde, natural, neutral, and gently luminous. These shades are not only easier to maintain, they reflect light back onto your face in a way that feels gentle, feminine, and honest. You don't need to give up the desire to glow. You simply need the right kind of glow for where you are today. Because radiance isn't about blinding brightness. It's about lighting up what was already there, quietly, meaningfully. And if you've been standing at that crossroads, torn between holding on to an old shade and stepping into something new, that dull feeling you get each time you look in the mirror might be your sign. Listen to it. Because just beyond the cold, there might be a warmer, softer light, one that leads you back to yourself. In our next chapter, we'll step into a color that's often seen as bold and luxurious, burgundy red, rich, seductive, full of personality. But for women over 50, it may be doing more harm than good, sharpening the face in all the wrong ways and draining the grace from your gaze. Let's take a closer look at why sometimes deep doesn't always mean beautiful. 3. Burgundy red. When personality overpowers the face. Burgundy has always been a color of boldness. A rich blend of red and purple full of depth, drama, elegance, and command. It's not a safe choice. It's a statement. A color for women who know what they want and aren't afraid to show it. But here's a quiet question. What if that statement has become so loud that it's now drowning out the very things you wanted to protect? Burgundy is visually intense, and when worn on the hair, especially against warm or neutral-toned skin, it can harden the face, make your features look sharper, harsher. But after 50, many women aren't chasing sharpness. They're longing for something else, a presence that is soft yet dignified, an energy where the eyes still sparkle, where the smile still shines, but nothing feels overpowered. One of the most common concerns with burgundy hair is this: it tends to exaggerate natural redness in the skin. Broken capillaries, rosy cheeks, a little flush around the nose, all of it becomes louder. The whole face starts to feel hotter, not youthful, just off balance. And if you skip makeup or wear only a light base, the effect becomes even more noticeable. You might find yourself thinking, I don't feel tired. But why do I look like I am? And it doesn't stop there. Burgundy is notoriously difficult to maintain. It starts deep and stunning, but fades quickly. Warm water, sunlight, daily wear. And suddenly, the rich tone breaks apart into uneven patches. Muted red here, faint purple there. Pinkish streaks you didn't sign up for. Which means more touch-ups, more glosses, more time fixing something that was supposed to feel powerful. But beyond the upkeep, there's a question most people never pause to ask. Are you holding on to burgundy because it truly fits you? Or because it makes you feel like you still stand out? Standing out isn't wrong, but standing out so much that people see your hair before they see you, that's a problem. The face, the eyes, the softness you've grown into, all become background noise under a color that's trying to speak louder than you are. And after 50, maybe your goal isn't to impress, but to simply be present, fully, elegantly, on your terms. Still love red? There's a gentler path. Try copper brown, a warmer, softer take on red. Or cinnamon brown, a cozy blend of spice and depth. Even a light auburn or soft chestnut can offer warmth, character, and movement without stealing the show. You don't need to abandon red. You just need to befriend it, instead of letting it speak too loudly on your behalf. Because in the end, beautiful hair doesn't demand attention. It invites people to see your face, clearly, deeply, truthfully. And if you've reached a point in life where you can say, I no longer need to prove anything to anyone, then maybe it's also time to let your hair soften too. Still expressive, still confident, but no longer louder than you. The final reflection: it's not about what color you wear, it's about whether it honors who you are. You've just walked through 6 shades, 3 that lift you quietly, 3 that may be slowly pulling you down. But truly, this wasn't about hair color. It was about presence, about how you choose to be seen. Not to look young again, not to chase the version of yourself from the past, but to reflect the woman you are now, softer, wiser, and wonderfully whole. So if there's a color you've held on to for years but no longer see yourself in it, don't be afraid to let it go. Because the right color doesn't just help others see you more clearly. It helps you see yourself with ease, with grace, with joy. Next time you run a comb through your hair, pause for just a moment. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this color lifting me or slowly fading me away? Because color doesn't cover age, it reflects presence. And presence, when true to yourself, is always radiant.